Hello friends, this is Nitin over here. What was the last time you wanted to choose a smartphone, you wanted to purchase a laptop or a phone, and then you were sure that yes, this is the best phone? What you would look into is RAM, camera, speakers, how is the display? And then at the end of the day, you would come up and say, which phone's performance is better? Now, how would you compare it? For the processing speed, what matters is the gigahertz, but at the same time, what matters is which processor are you using? What is the model of the processor? Just as when we say iPhone 5 and iPhone 6 or 7, you would definitely say iPhone 6 is better than iPhone 5. It's about the features. The brand is same, but the model is different. Similarly, in case of when we are looking at the performance key factor depends upon the CPU, and a normal person is unable to decide which processor is better, which chipset is better. If we talk about the video quality or the gaming performance, there are different people providing different benchmarks and then trying to decide which would turn out to be better. And then you look at the different videos just to say, okay, which one would be better. But if you're just to go and look at the specifications and then decide which one is better, the words like Adreno 530, Adreno 430, Mail T880 MP4 are like jargons or Chinese to a French person and French to a Chinese person. Basically, we don't know what it means. Snapdragon 821, Snapdragon 820. You probably would compare with the 820 and 821 figure. But how would you say is a Snapdragon 821 better than Apple A10 Fusion? Or if you were to buy a laptop, you'd probably compare Intel Core i3 and Intel Core i5 and then you can compare it. But if I would say compare Intel Core i5 with AMD A8, and then you're like, it's like comparing apples and oranges. My friends, it is not comparing apple and oranges. Each of these have performances. It's a brand difference. What we need to understand is how we can compare it. And for a general person, I would recommend and say you don't need to go into any technicalities, nor do you need to understand what is the core details. It's very simple context. You look at the ranking of the chart and then say which processor is better. Did you know that a Core i5 fourth generation processor can be better than a Core i5 fifth generation processor? It all depends upon not only on the gigahertz. A processor with 2.2 gigahertz can be better than a processor with 2.5 gigahertz. Yes, friends, these are the different things that we need to understand. So how do you compare mobile phones based on CPU and GPU and laptops based on AMD or Intel processor? Well, it's a very simple logic. You need to visit someone who has detailed knowledge about it. And what's better than internet? What's better than a site which calibrates all of these and provides detailed information in a crisp form on your site? So friend, I am from chalga.com providing a review, but the site which is going to provide you all the information with all these details, which processor is better, is notebookcheck.net. So over here when we see, when you visit notebookcheck.net, you just go to notebookcheck.net and then a page loads up. And on the page, when it is loaded, you see there are benchmarks and tech. You click on this particular link and then you would come up with the list and see there are different benchmarks. Mobile graphic cards benchmark list, computer game or laptop graphic cards, smartphone graphic cards, mobile processor, smartphone processors, laptops, hard disks, different benchmarks are available. So we were just looking at the performances of different phones and then we had the CPU and the chipset. So for example, if we had to compare the CPU, we would go with the smartphone processor benchmark list. Let's click on the smartphone benchmark list and then we have a complete list of smartphone benchmarks. Now let's look at Media MT6797. Okay, and I don't know which processor, what level it is. Is it better than the Snapdragon 810 or not? Having heard it is better from the market. Snapdragon is the best. Is it really better? Which ranking is better? The simple context would be just visit this notebookcheck.net and press Control F, and you would be have the option to choose the model number. Let me just scroll down and show you a view of the different CPUs that are listed over here. So you see there are different rankings that have been given to all these phones. The lower the ranking, that means the top the ranking, the better the processor is. So over here we are talking about MT6797. So I'll just go on this, press Control F, and see MT6797. So you see the ranking for this particular is 726. And let's get back to 810, Snapdragon 810. It's 514. So lower the ranking, that means number one, it would be the best one. So definitely Snapdragon 810 stands better than the MT6797. And let's look at 820. Now this is 810. Let's look for, this is 514 is the ranking. Let's look at 820. 495. So it's slight difference only. Let's come back to Apple 18 Fusion. So let's see A10. Okay, it's on 421. Definitely the process is far better than the other phones. And then we have 821 right below there. It's on 421 and it is 493. So you see, based on the different processors, we are able to identify which processor is better. You don't need to get into technicalities, just look at the list and find it out which one would be better. Now let's come back and see about the GPU processors. So for the GPU processor, we'll be looking at the GPU benchmarks, but please make sure that you are on the right page. For example, we have mobile graphic cards and smartphone graphic cards. The mobile graphic cards is for the laptops graphic cards, and smartphone graphic cards are for the smartphones. So let's click on the smartphone graphic cards and let's look at the processor. For example, what we had options were Adreno 530. So let's just press Control F, and we'll type in Adreno. So we have Adreno 530 on number 394. Adreno 530. Let's look at Adreno 430. Adreno 430 has 447. And then let's look at T880. T880. Okay, it's right over here, 465. So you can see the ranking available over here and then decide which smartphone graphic card is better. Apple iPhone over here, we don't have the GPU information, but once you have the GPU information, you can actually compare it. Moving on towards AMD and Intel laptops, and how do we compare that? The same feature would be available for the similar scenario. These days, most of us have laptops, and then we can check on the mobile graphic card benchmark list that which graphic card would be better. And for example, let's look at Intel. So Intel, AMD, Radeon, NVDIA, all of these are available over here. So now you can compare with the graphic card, which one of them would be better, whether the AMD you need to take or the NVIDIA. With all the rankings available over, you can decide which graphic card would be better. So if you have a laptop you want to buy, and then there are two models, one with the AMD Radeon processor and the graphic card, the other with the Intel and NVIDIA graphic card. Now you are confused which one to buy. Both of the prices are same. You could come up and check up at notebookcheck.net the list which one is on the higher end, and then decide upon which one would you prefer to take. So that sums up. So you can decide based on two different phones, two different prices, you want to check the processing and the graphical processing, just visit notebookcheck.net and click on the benchmarks tech. And from there, you can choose which options, mobile graphic card or smartphone graphic card or laptop graphic cards or the graphic processor benchmarks you want to check. There are other benchmarks as well, but as of now, I think this would help you out in comparing the different phones, which one performs better without having any much of technical knowledge. That's all from my side. Hope you guys like this video. Please share and subscribe. Thank you.